everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have Easton Patton with us today. Easton, thank you for coming in.
You got it.
Why don't you tell everybody what you had me do today?
Yeah, so I appreciate you having me in, by the way. So Andrew was kind enough to spend the morning with me, which I'm pretty fired up about because it was a good time. So I conned you into waking up at 3:30 with me, even though your kids are sick.
Yeah.
And going out and getting into the ice tub at 3:45 this morning.
Which you do every day.
Yep. Yeah, and you crushed, dude, honestly. You never know how someone's first time in there is going to be.
What were you expecting? Don't lie.
I thought you were going to shiver a lot more. You kind of took it like a champ.
I just went numb.
Yeah.
But the reason I wanted you to get on here, one, how many people you think you've sold insurance to?
Ooh, dude, I would bet pretty close to 3,000, I think. Maybe like 26 or 2,700, I guess, if you take the average AP. I bet like over 2,500 for sure.
Yeah, and you're just an animal, consistent, and you do this ice bath, workout, sauna 6 days a week?
Yes. Yep.
And you're done so today we were done. We hit ice bath, workout, run, sauna, and then the sun started coming up. I was like, yo, you could get ahead of a lot of people with this schedule.
Yeah, dude, so the reason that I can do it now is I started with like a little bit at a time and just try to like add like harder stuff in as I went, and this is why people burn out so fast. It's because if you just saw like a routine that I've been accustomed to for 5 years and you're like, oh, I'd like to try that. Like today and tomorrow, your body is for sure going into shock over the next 48 hours just because it's a different routine than you typically run. So you will feel it afternoon and evening, and then tomorrow's like going to be your biggest test.
Will I be there tomorrow at 3:45 a.m.?
The nice thing is we've recruited some fellow plungers, and so we will come and drag you out of bed.
Well, we recruited how many? 7, 8?
Mm-hmm.
Drew, you down? Maybe 9?
That sounds like probably.
We're gonna have to come up with a workout tomorrow for 9 people, though.
Easy. I've got one. We'll be good.
Just outside?
We can do it wherever. We could just go for like a team run after.
That's true. Drew, you in?
I think that's a yes.
I don't know if I'm in working out with 9 people.
A little jog?
9 people?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, group fun run.
I'll let you know.
So
that's a no.
So the adjustments are easier to make if you just do like little stuff at a time. So I didn't like go from waking up at 7 to shell shocking my body at 3:30 and doing what I do now overnight. I slowly went from, okay, I typically get up at 5:30. Let's go 5, 4:30, 4, 3:30. Like I worked that process over for X amount of time. I can't remember how long it took me to work
what was
down.
funny is my kids both had a fever last night, so I wasn't sleeping. And then the closer it got to 3:45 a.m., the harder it was for me to go back to sleep because I was anticipating this plunge.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, maybe I should bail because I I didn't get much sleep. And then I was like, nah, I can't bail. I said I'd be there.
Well, the reason I like this stuff is because it's so fun to see like what you can actually do if you just try it. So I actually think you can trick yourself into doing hard things by pretending you're someone you're not for like a small window of time. Does that make any sense to you?
Kinda.
So let's say, like I have taken stuff, I hear little things through like either podcasts or business books or whatever I'm listening to. I try to find people that are excelling in some sort of business that like take care of themselves very well, and then steal little bits and pieces of things that I like from them. And so if you're like, I'm not really a morning person, just like pretend that you are for a week and see what happens. But like, it doesn't have to be a morning person at 3. Like be a morning person. If you sleep in till 6, dude, just try 5:30 and you wake up and say, oh, I'm going to be like Andrew this week. And I'm going to wake up at 5:30. I'm going to do my routine. I'm going to go to the office. I'm going to dial from 8 to 11, take a lunch, recruit from 1 to 4, and then I'm going to close from 5 to 8. Like just set up a block schedule and pretend like you're better than you are. And if you fake it, just like a routine standpoint, if you just pretend like you're used to it or this is who you are as a person, eventually 4 years goes by and you are significantly different than you were 4 years prior.
And you've been doing this for years.
Yeah, I'm almost at 5 years. April 1st will be 5 years that I've been here. I've had a pretty well structured routine that I've added stuff to since I started.
That you've always done, though.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the thing you said to me, though, that I liked the most, and what does this have to do with insurance? A lot, because it has to do with being mentally tough and it has to do with your schedule. But what you said, which I loved, like the ice bath was like, I don't know if I felt better or not, but you were like, dude, odds are nothing worse is going to happen to you today than getting in this freezing cold water when it's cold outside and windy. So like you already got the worst part of most likely whatever is going to happen done today. I was like, ooh, I like that.
Well, yeah, I think it's again, dude, it's just a trick. Like if you just go, okay, at least if I do this for 3 minutes, there's not going to be any, especially if, dude, we're doing insurance. So the worst thing that happens is you miss a sale, so that's not really, compared to like being in 38 degree to 41 degree water, it's not that bad to have someone tell you no because, oh, look, I've got 58 more people I can call that are looking for help also. So it's just a really good mental shift for me where I'm like, and I still will battle, like when it's really cold out in Colorado and I have to like break the ice in the tub and, still get in there because I made a public promise that I was going to do something cold every single morning for the next 365 days in January. Like that was my, I said I was going to do it. So I'm trying to really stick true to what I said I was going to do. Even if I'm traveling and can only do a shower, I will get out there and stare at that water. And the longer that I wait, the worse it gets to get in the first time. Like when you first plop in there. So if I just go out there, dude, I still put on like funny motivational videos. Like some people might think they're corny or cheesy or whatever, but I'll just listen to something that'll hype me up about being disciplined or, whatever all this, but it's funny to some people on YouTube, like these motivational guys. And it just, if I just do it and fulfill I said I was going to do it. And if I just get in there, it's only horrible for a couple of short minutes and then you're out.
Yeah. I kind of relate that to a new agent or an agent that's just kind of just slowly getting started, kind of like staring at the water. And it's painful for them because 6 months goes by, a year goes by, and they didn't just jump in and see what happens,
The longer it's going to suck when you're learning a new skill. So why, if you have control over just like, let it suck. Wow. We might have to cut that out. That's not something that you want to be heard probably. What if you just sucked more and more often is what I was going to say, but I don't know if that's the verbiage we want to use. So what if you just went through the horrible stuff faster because it's going to be terrible and you're going to be learned. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to feel, bad about yourself and kind of have some self-pity and some doubt. So why do that for 18 months because you only like dipped a few toes in when, dude, my experience and my pitch to everyone is like, dude, just suck it up for 90 days and do a little extra. If you can survive your first 90 days and you truly go all in, not go in for 10 days and then like kind of after that. If you showed up for yourself and you trained and you worked your schedule, you reached out for help, you did your dials, all the stuff that's a requirement to excel here, if you just did that for 90 days and then you stuck it out for 12 months, but you went through that phase in your first 90, I feel like that's going to get you, in my experience, much farther ahead faster because you went through all that really terrible stuff, but you collapsed it from 18 months to 90 days.
Yeah. Now, getting up at the other thing that I never thought of this, which is actually really genius, but I'm like, okay, I want to get good sleep, right? But you're like, okay, if you want to get up early, it's okay if you have to you're like, yo, I got up way too early at at noon. You're like, oh, I'll just take like a 20-minute nap. And then you feel fine.
Yep. Yeah, you can sneak little power naps in. This was my rationalization to myself was Kobe Bryant said that he used to do it. So I figure if one of the greatest in the history of a sport says, hey, I ran, 3 to 6 second workout recovery, and he's like working out 3 times a day, but he's like at 2:00, I always went out for 20 minutes to give my body a little quick recovery, and then I was back at it and I was fine.
What an animal.
That's straight from one of the greatest of all time. So if he ran this insane schedule to be the best, it's very unlikely that I'll be the greatest insurance salesman in the history of Earth. But if I do all this crazy stuff for a long enough period of time, I could unintentionally be great just by following like a set structured routine and giving up some stuff over time.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think we discovered that you're motivated when people doubt you. Because you were saying that You were a pole vaulter,
Yes. Yep.
which is crazy. How high do you go up when you do that?
So my best jump ever was 5.36 meters, just like 17 feet 7 inches. I think that's right. It's got to be pretty close, like 17.7-ish or 5.36.
And then you said that you got dropped from your first school. Everybody doubted you, pissed you off. And tell us that story real quick.
So I got started in my pole vault career late. I started when I was like 16. I saw it, thought it was cool. I went to some summer camps with some really high level coaches, and it became like an obsession for me. And I actually really loved it. It didn't feel like a hard sport. Like wrestling sucked. You have to cut weight. Practices are brutal. Pole vaulting was fun. Loved it. So I called a Division I coach in Montana because I always wanted to be a D1 athlete. Like a lot of people that compete, that's the dream. That's the big check box. Like, hey, I was D1. And so I was talking to the coach, and he said, hey, if you hit this mark, we'll let you walk on. And then like the first week of practice, it was like, hey, you are like abnormally slow and weak and not super what we're looking for at this point. So why don't you do some development over the next year? Then you could try out again, as a sophomore. And dude, I was like devastated and I was pissed. And it was totally understandable where they were coming from. They had just recruited these guys that were superstars coming out of high school. So it would have been a weird fit for me at the time. So out of anger, I made some really bad decisions as a freshman in college, and then I transferred to a small school in Missouri where I had an awesome pole vault coach. He was the first man in my adult life that like watched me just try really hard and work hard and said, dude, I think I can help you become a champion if you'll come and pole vault for me. If you come and compete with me, let me teach you. And so I was like, well, that feels pretty cool. Someone actually wants me on their team. I didn't care what division it was. I missed it and wanted to do it. So I transferred down there, and we worked together the whole year. I made some huge strides. It was the first time I got to stand on the podium at nationals, and then I transferred up to Montana as a true sophomore. And while I was competing at Carroll College in the NAIA division, which is small college stuff, it's where I was a better fit for athletically, I went and I ended up in my college career becoming a 7-time All-American, and then I won 3 back-to-back national titles, and I broke that coach's, he had the record for the school. I jumped higher than the coach that cut me had ever performed in college in front of that coach at his facility. So it was like this huge come together moment. Like, dude, I told you I could do this. And it was this big moment for me to kind of throw back in the coach's face a little bit. And dude, they came up to me after and they're like, hey, we're so glad that you stuck it out. It's been fun to watch your progression. And we're just like super nice to me.
Dang. Now, coming full circle, you started at FFL.
Yes.
And you sucked.
Bad.
And you called me and you wanted to kill me because tell them that story.
So I was, this was like it was the height of my badness. And I was very emotional and I was trying to figure out like, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I figure it out? All these other guys are figuring it out. So I was calling everybody for help. And I messaged you on Facebook one day and was like, hey, do you got a couple of minutes? Because I had heard a training that you had done about like, hey, I had struggled with commission breath really bad and I wasn't closing at all. And I was like, dude, this is my guy. Like, this is the exact same problem that I'm having. And when I called you to get some help, my verbiage was much more of a poor me complaint to you, which was not my intention. I genuinely wanted to fix it, but it came out as I was whining and complaining about my process and how I was explaining to you my process. You were like, dude, if you cannot learn how to care about clients, you have got to quit and get a job. And then that was hung up the phone and end of conversation.
And that pissed you off.
I was so mad at you. I was like, I called Zach right after. I was like, hey, it's not very expensive to get a flight to Vegas. Do you want to fly out there with me? I'm going to break Andrew's neck.
I'm glad you didn't do that.
Yeah, dude, so am I, because I would probably not still be allowed to work here. But it was a huge blessing for me on the other side, because it was a big wake-up call, and Zach called me later and kind of walked me through like what the message really was, because it is an empathetic, compassionate sale. This is not just a generic transaction like, hey, you're 60, this is what it costs, sound good? And they're like, well, yeah, I'm going to think about it. And that kept happening to me. And he's like, it's because you don't care. And you were the first person to tell me that.
You probably did care, but what do you think was really going on?
I didn't know how to get the client to see that I cared. And I probably cared less at that time, dude. I was so desperate to try to make money because I was like going out of business, They were turning credit cards off at fuel stations and at restaurants. Like I didn't have a way to eat or fill up my car. I just
Were
kept...
you with Lindsay then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't tell her any of that stuff either. She had no idea what I was going through. I just I tucked that in very close. I did not share that information with her because in my mind, I was like, how is that going to benefit her? We don't both need to be freaking out about this new job that I'm doing. So I was like, how about one of us freaks out at a time? And every day I would come into the house like super late. I was like, hey, you know what? I had some great appointments today, which means I didn't sell anything. And like, I'm learning a lot. Everyone's helping me. It's awesome. And like, that was the message for 3 months. And I didn't tell her till I was here for a year. And I had my first month where I helped 93 families out in a month, 12 months to date of what I started. My 12th month I did. That is when I told her what had happened when I started, but she didn't know any of that information while I was going through it because I didn't think that would be beneficial for her to know.
That's pretty smart. Dude, that's actually pretty cool because you didn't want her to stress.
Yeah. Well, and I was really humiliated. Like it was pretty embarrassing because I promised like there's people doing this and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but some of the people that are doing really well here, I don't know how they're doing it, but if they can do it, like I'm going to do very well here. And that was my pitch to her, because I didn't really know what the company was, to be honest.
I still don't get what you changed though.
So I started setting a 10-minute timer in the beginning of my appointments. So I literally would force myself to go through 10 minutes of why questions and figure out, okay, so if this was my parents, what would I ask them? So if my dad's working full-time, my mom's a stay-at-home with 3 kids. If my dad dies, we are homeless immediately if he doesn't have insurance of any kind. So I was like, okay, so what if this was my parents that I was going to see? How would I want people to interact with my parents and have this conversation? So I just started learning how to do supplemental digging, and I was doing a lot of final expense, so a lot of it was their kids. A lot of it was I don't want my kid to have to pay for this when I'm gone. So sweet, where does your kid live? What does he do for work? Does he have a family? Does a spouse work? That figuring out what they actually do for work and where they live. And then, okay, so got it. So, he's a manager at a fast food restaurant or he has a grocery store job or whatever. Short version is it would be hard for him to fly out here, take time off of work, pay to travel, and pay to put you in the ground. Fair. And just having this real conversation and uncovering what they already gave me, that 10-minute timer was a huge game changer for me as far as slowing down to get the information from the client.
I did a test one time because like you had simplified issue and you had fully underwritten quotes, right? And
Yep.
For those of you who are watching, simplified issue means like you can get approved right away. Usually it's a little bit more than a healthy person that does blood, urine, doctor's records, all that stuff. They can get a lower rate. And some of those rates are really low. Now you could get it with like Ethos without a physical if someone's healthy. So it's way easier. But back in the day, there was like a lady who I sat with and I just showed her the cheapest no-brainer quote you could ever see. Like it was like, I think it was like $18 for like 500 grand or something crazy. And she was like, I need to think, but I didn't build any rapport. I didn't ask why she wanted it. Nothing. She goes, I need to think about it. Like, the heck?
Yeah, of course she does, right? You knew nothing about her, nothing about her family situation, why it was important to her. That was like my MO, was I wanted to have an 8-minute record appointment in and out with a close with $43 or $60 app or whatever it was. I was in such a rush to make sure I wasn't late to my next one. I'm also a relatively I don't really like being late to stuff. I've always been like that. So in my mind, I'm like, I told the client I was going to be there at noon, Andrew, and it is 11:40. It's a 38-minute drive. I'm already late. I need to go as fast as I possibly can, figure out if they're going to buy or not, and then leave. So it was a multitude of things. I didn't know how to get why. I had no idea how to set structure of appointments. Like, hey, Andrew, this is what we are going to do today. Like, if you give me a reason to purchase, but you don't know what the process is, you might still have stuff to think about, even if you have a why. So just filling you in on, like, my job is to shop around, find a carrier, you build a plan, I make sure it gets sent in for approval. Sound good? Just like a simple statement like that changed a lot. And that I got from John because he was harassing me. Well, he was helping me and giving me a hard time in a nice way about, hey, dude, you're already doing stuff that is not helping you sell. Like, you're not selling anything. So why don't we just experiment and literally try anything else? So try this. And then I said it in my next appointment and she was like, sounds good, said yes, sold an app in like 40 minutes and left. And then I called him. I was like, Dude, she just said yes. All I did was verbatim repeat what you said, is this is what we're going to do, and then told her the steps. And she was like, awesome. That's it. It literally just happened. And then I put all that stuff together over 2 days. And like I started getting all these yeses. And I used to carry this run journal where I would write down yeses, nos, objections, and then I would
That's what
study
I
it every
did,
night when I
yeah.
got home.
I would call people and be like, what would you say in this scenario if someone said this? Or what would you say,
Yeah.
you know?
It was helpful.
Dude, so I had this appointment. I'll never forget it. I get there. Dude is mean as heck, dude. And big dude. He was like that Samoan guy in the gym. So we were we were in the gym today, and there's this dude. How big was that guy? Like muscular.
He's probably 6'4". No way he's under 3 bills. He's enormous.
Yeah. And I told Easton, I go, hey, do you think if a new agent had to fight that guy or write 10 policies this week, which one do you think they would do?
There's no way they would miss. He's huge.
Yeah. So anyways, I get there. This dude's big and he's mean. This appointment I go to, no shirt on, won't give me any information. And then I gave the lead to my friend and I said, hey, if you close this, then I'll let you know for the rest of history you're way better at sales than me. Next day, he takes a picture with the dude with a voided check and sends it to me. Like not even 24 hours later. And I was like, what the heck did you do? He was like, oh, well, for one, I was smiling. Then I was like, dude, did you play in the NFL or something? Right when I walked in. And then he told me about his football background. And then he pulled out his policy they found out was lapsing and he didn't know, which he wouldn't get from me. And then he's like, and then I helped him with the policy.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, I said this to someone the other day. I don't think I could close everyone, but I think someone can close everyone. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah.
Not the same person.
Yeah. Well, you never know what day you're catching him on too.
Yeah.
Like, listen, if he had a bad day and you seemed uninterested in him as a person, he's immediately going to be defensive. Like, this guy's wasting my time. He's literally hearing me sell me stuff. I don't have time for this. So that was my take was someone could sell him and you have no idea what that person's day is like. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason to overreact or become crazy emotional because they could be going through who knows what. And you could have been bad timing.
And what are the things they could be going through?
I mean, dude, they could have just lost a sibling, a spouse, a family member. They could have just lost their job. I mean, there's a million moving pieces that people go through every single day. And so to have one bad interaction and then judge them and treat them poorly and not give them another chance. That's why you don't ever burn a miss. And this is something that I was not admittedly great at early. Once I learned how to sell, I used to get frustrated when people wouldn't buy. And so I wanted them to just like give me an answer and, not blame myself for some of the misses. And instead of making it so they never want to talk to an insurance agent again, you just say, hey, listen, all good. Obviously, I was really hoping to be the person that you guys would look to for some help. If you're ever interested, like I'll give you some information, which we used to not do. Like I didn't want anyone to have my info. But just trying to leave on a more peaceful note so that if somebody else calls them back and they're having a better day or they're just in a buying position at that point in time, whatever it is, they're not going to be like, I hate insurance guys because of Easton. And he made me not want to ever do it because all these guys are rude and ruthless and they're only looking for sale money. So that I fixed. And, dude, if someone's not going to buy from you, if Andrew talks to them tomorrow and you're just like kind or smiling or interested or you give them a compliment, that could be what they were missing. Like I didn't ask him about the football days and they're just like, dude, you are enormous. Who did you play football for at the NFL?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, dude, let me tell you. And maybe he was like, oh, I never made it there, but this is my career. And all of a sudden you have immediate rapport and then they're going to buy. Their family's good.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so true though. Okay, so you went from and we talked about this today too, in-home presentations, flying. We both did this, like drove all over the freaking earth to go run appointments. And now you've converted, is it 100% to Zoom?
All of it is Zoom or telesales. All of it.
All of it.
Yep.
What's that like compared to?
So at first, it was so unbelievably boring to me just because I had came off of this 18-month stretch where I was traveling to a new state every single weekend for 18 months. So I would fly out Wednesday and then I would run in a city, take a flight Sunday, dial, run Monday, Tuesday, fly back Tuesday night, so I was only home on like Wednesday. And it would fluctuate, 24 to 48 hours with depending on where I was traveling. But dude, I just wasn't home that much. So going in and being locked onto a screen and a computer, it was really hard for me to sit still for that long and like be focused, which is why I switched to block scheduling virtually, just because I could divide the day up into different things I wanted to do during those blocks, so I wasn't just lasered on a computer forever.
So you're breaking the day up.
Yeah, yeah, I had to. It was just the remaining focused on strictly doing telesales for 12 hours. Like it's weird for my brain to do, sit still in that one place for that long. So I tweaked it a little bit. So I've got like an 8 to 11 slot where I do, some of that. And then like 1 to 4, I'll spend doing way more like recruiting and follow up with agent stuff. And then 5 to 8, if I need to go in and do another close window, I can do some sales in the evening too. But everything is split up now. So it's not as much same thing all the time, 12 hours a day.
But you start at 3:30.
Yeah. Yep. That 3:30 to 7 is kind of like my
time.
Yeah, it's my personal development time, get some exercise and all that stuff. And then by 8, I'm live, dialing, helping agents, whatever it is from 8 to 11.
Do you read?
I do more audiobooks than read. If it's a business book, I will do an audiobook and read it at the same time. It's just easier for me to intake information if I can do both. I used to try to listen to like informational business or sales books or whatever while I was working out, and I wasn't really retaining much of the information. So now I only do that stuff if I'm on the drives or I'm in the sauna. That's when I can kind of where it's just I'm not moving around. I can actually sit and focus and listen. So it's too hard for me to like retain info and exercise and learn at the same time. My brain's not functional like that. So I don't do that anymore. But that morning slot's kind of like I'm solo, and then my work blocks 8 to 11, 1 to 4, 5 to 8. It's all split.
Wow, that's legit.
Go
ahead.
Only thing I was gonna add about swapping to virtual is I was terrified to do it just because I thought it was a whole new skill set, and it's literally the same stuff.
Yeah,
there's like a couple tiny adjustments, dude.
I did one the other day, and I was like, "Why the heck did I ever drive to somebody's house?"
And dude, the first time you get your first telesale, it was the craziest feeling. I was like, they just said yes from my house or from the office. Like I just had a client tell me that yes, they will do it. They signed up. I did the application, and I didn't have to leave my home or the office. Like it was a crazy feeling. I was like, this is gonna be sweet.
Dude, so when I first started, I want to tell this story because I think this can help. There was a guy training that was talking about writing down specific things from customers. So it'd be like, Easton, he has a dog, Cane Corso. He named, what's your dog's name?
Preacher.
What is it?
Preacher.
Reacher?
Preacher.
Oh, Preacher. Okay.
Yeah.
Preacher. And he's got a, baby on the way, and he's his house is blue, right? So I would write down all this stuff from about the customer on a like a 3x5 card.
Oh, that's sweet.
Okay, which now you got all kinds of cool CRMs, and you got Ask Integrity, which is gonna load all that information in for you in Life Center, and then it'll actually like the AI will save it for you, which is sick.
Yeah. It's way easier to track.
But anyways, the guy called me to cancel his policy from like 10 years ago. And I remembered writing down on that card. I remembered what his house looked like. I remember his dog. And I remember like this crazy story about their dog because they thought they were buying a purebred like wiener dog or something. But the lady ripped him off, and it ended up being like half pit bull, half something else, and it was huge, dude. And they were
was he pissed?
Yeah, they were telling me the story. So when he called me to cancel, I was like, "Yeah, dude, how's that pit bull that you have?" And then he's like, "You remember that? I can't believe you remember that. I want to cancel this policy, but I'm actually looking for a different one because I want a longer term." And then I was like, "Cool, let's do it right now. I'll help you right now." But I'm like, dude, the value of that little tip, and then throwing that into Life Center with Integrity, and then using all those tools. Have you seen that tool?
Dude, it's awesome. I was just messing with it the other day.
Yeah. And then the plan and roll stuff that's coming is really cool too. But dude, yeah, my point is over the phone, I was still having just as good of a conversation with him as I was when I was at his house.
Well, yeah, and one, this is be a huge, it's similar recommendation that you did when you're tracking all your clients' info. Always save in your phone, because if they call, it's going to flash up on there. So the thing I miss about the in-homes was I took a picture with all my clients. So anytime they called me, the picture would pop up. I have all the information, but I would save company, policy type, and policy amount, what they paid, and then like a note about the client in there in my phone. So every time that they call you, you know exactly what company that they have.
Yeah.
You know what like that is a. If you call me and I have your information and I can go into my portal and pull up your exact name because I know what carrier to go to, and as soon as you answer, hey, just wanted to check in to see how Nicole's doing. I saw I missed your call. What were you calling for?
Yeah.
And you just feed them a beneficiary name or some information that you've saved from when you did talk to them. Like, dude, it is a game changer in like, hey, I did come and see you, or I helped you over the phone, and you can just ask them some supplemental details. Like, I do care. I'm paying attention.
Yeah, that's huge. I asked this to pretty much everybody. What's your lead spin per week? And then what's your no-show rate?
Lead spend is always going to be between $2,000 and $2,500 a month or a week. I'm sorry. So I always do my $2,000. I do Sunday night or Wednesday purchases. If I'm just going into the ILC and going to pull leads out of there, I try to have some kind of an auto order set up. Even if you have half of your lead flow that you can get to an auto order, where I only ever have to worry about adding in supplemental flow. So I've got $1,000 that's on auto order every single week. So that takes care, and they'll come in. You can set it up to come in like 5 days or 3. You can literally make it so I want this many leads per day. So as soon as they release that feature, I'm all over it, and you get a discount, which is sick. So that solves at least half of my lead flow problem.
I don't know if this is on the new release. I don't know if it's out or it's out any day now, but on the subscribe and save feature, you can actually adjust it to how many you want, not just how many are in the system.
Oh, that's
so
sweet.
You could be like, if there's one ethos lead in there, you could crank it up and say, I want 20 on this, even though there was only one available.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
So that I would recommend everybody has some kind of auto order lead system, because it holds you very accountable. And it's just something that anything that you can automate and remove thought from, I think is beneficial in your business. So this is something you don't have to think about. Hey, 50% of my stuff is taken care of every week, and then I can go and hand pick or have another order somewhere, whatever it is. But you have so much control over your lead flow, especially that auto order stuff. So 2,000 to 2,500 gives me plenty of flexibility to make sure that I always hit the numbers that I hit every week.
But it's like, your routine is just the same, and you're pretty consistent with everything.
Yes. Because the leads they're always making adjustments, and we always have new stuff that we can try. That's the only reason that I don't have my entire order automated, is because I like to try the new stuff and kind of guinea pig new different leads that you guys are always working on. It's like one of the fun parts of the job, to learn something new. So it keeps the brain fresh. It keeps me really excited about dials, because I've been dialing the phone for 5 years, which some people, it's not their favorite thing to do. It's a lot more fun if you have a really good skill set on a certain type of lead, and you pair that with getting to try all the different new leads that are always coming out. I think that that's like the best combo.
Do you have a dialer?
I just hired my first dialer like literally 10 days ago. I have not had a dialer since I've been here.
Dang.
So I'm trying it out for a little bit to see, because that's one of those things that would definitely save me a lot of time. And then I just got to like keep working with them and train them. So I will keep you posted on how that goes.
Nice.
So that'll also solve a lot of it'll just free up more time to help new people and bring some more new fun people in.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I'm excited for it.
And then what kind of people are you looking to recruit to your team? Because I think we've figured out, like, it's funner to build it with the right people.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page. This is where I have a hard time not giving everybody a chance that is truly going to commit. So I do want to get some like verbal commitment, which will, if it's not followed by the actions, then I'm good. But somebody gave me a chance to do it, and sometimes I never know who's going to do really, really well, and you can't really handpick them all the time. I have some specific, like, dude, I love working with ex-athletes because it's so relatable for me. So if you're ex-military and you have good structure or routine in your life, or ex-athlete where you're so accustomed to failing, the only thing that you have to do on a daily basis is get up and keep moving. Like, that's easy for me to relate to because that's kind of like the story of my life. I've always been horrible at everything that I've ever tried and had to work very hard at it to improve. So I like that you have that similar in your background, whatever that is, for that person. So that's part of like the interview process is, hey, were you an athlete? Tell me about your experiences. So I'm always looking, and it doesn't matter to me whether you're 18 or you're 60 and you're an ex-athlete. Like, if you want to strap in at this thing with me full time and follow my routine and my schedule and what I'm trying to accomplish, and you'll follow through on what you promise, then I'm down to work with almost anybody that fits that kind of criteria where they're just going to follow through on what they say they're going to do for me.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm
Has
out
your
for.
routine rubbed off on a lot of people?
A lot of I would say I shouldn't say a lot, but some of the new guys that I work with, I'm always pushing them to do just a little bit more. And so I've got this new guy that just came on. His name is Brian. And he's, ex-athlete, college baseball player kid, got an absolute rocket of an arm on him. And he came over from the solar door-to-door stuff, and he was kind of playing around with my routine for a little bit. And I said, dude, what if you just tried it for a month? Just like, don't let yourself slip for 30 days. And dude, not even 10 days into following, my exact routine. And he's a younger dude. So, I understand not everyone wants to do this, but dude, he was on it for 10 consecutive days, and he had the biggest 10 days. He did like 23 and submit in a 10-day window of time, just because he found some adjustments to the routine that were a good fit for him. Like, he likes to get up and pray and ice and cook. Like, he's got some adjustments that he makes.
Yeah.
But he stays on a very strict schedule, goes to the office every day, calls for help, shows up, fired up. It's been a long time since someone that I've been around, because he's local, he's like the most excited he's ever been in his life. And that makes me very, very excited and happy to be around, like having a minute impact on someone with so much potential. Like, I think that's one of the most fun parts of the job.
Yeah, that's cool. So there's I've noticed a lot of people that do the 75 hard thing, they have their biggest month like during that time. It seems like I hear that often. Have you seen anything like that? Have you seen production go up with these schedules and mindset working out?
Yeah, I think it is humongous for you as an individual in business to have some kind of structure. And it doesn't have to be the psychotic thing. I just like it. It's hard for me to do, so I enjoy doing it. But if you just find some kind of structured routine that works for you, I do think, going in and doing hard stuff or getting a sweat in, like, I think exercise is important.
Dude, I feel, if I go to the gym, I feel 10 times better the whole day.
Yeah. So even if you were like, hey, I'm going to go from 8 to 5 every day, but this is exactly what I'm going to do, and you just stuck to it. I'm going to get up at 6:30. I'm going to eat breakfast. I'm going to walk for 10 minutes, and then just work your way up a little bit. Having some kind of set structure routine over time, I always see that make a huge impact on people's performance.
But what you said is don't do what I did and go from waking up at 5:30 to 3:30 like that fast. Gradually do it.
Yes. And by the way, and if anybody's fact checking, I'm not a medical professional or a nutritionist or some kind of sports scientist. This is just what has worked for me, is slowly adjusting from 5:30 to 5 to 4:30 to 4 to 3:30. Like, I worked it down over time. I played a trick on my body for like 2 days where I would get up at, like, my goal was to get up at 3:30 consistently, I would wake up at like between 2:30 and 2:45 for 2 back-to-back days. So that third day when I sleep into 3:30, I'm like, man, I'm getting some rest. And so it's just like 2 days of trying to mentally trick my body. Like, is this what we do now? And then bang, you get an extra hour of sleep and you're like, oh, I feel way better. It's still
5:30 sounds great to me now after 3:30.
Yeah, it's already working. So,
and then you said on Sundays you sleep until like 5.
Yeah, I sleep until, typically right around 5 on Sundays. Gym opens a little bit later. And it's more of like an active rest recovery day. I'll flip-flop Saturday and Sunday, kind of just depending on what part of the country that I'm at.
Then you also said if you have like let's say somebody starts working out, they'll have unintentional rest days. So let's say someone's like, I got a long way to go to be where I want to be, and I've done, 3 hard days. What'd you say to do?
You just take a recovery day. It's not going to like disrupt and ruin your entire routine. Like if you legitimately like feel yourself crashing really, really hard, it's not going to kill you to take it easy. And I still think you should have an active rest day. This just means like, hey, this is not the 10-mile run day, or this is not the 2-hour lift session. Like just get up and move around a little, maybe go for like a mile walk and then, stretch or something. Like it doesn't have to be super intense, but just move a little bit, move slow and take it easy. I like to just have some kind of active movement every day. So when you go and start to crash, it's the same thing I was talking about with the Kobe naps in the afternoon. Dude, if I have a day where I've been really at it hard for like 2 or 3 weeks and I've had no breaks, and I hit a Wednesday and 2:00 and I'm just like dragging, dude, and I'm dead, I will go and get my 20 minutes back. And then usually I'm good for the entire rest of the afternoon.
Does it ever turn into like an hour?
No, I set an alarm because I think it could turn into 8. I think some days it feels like if I don't set an alarm, I might go out till midnight, and then now I'm up throughout the entire night.
And
so
then
I set an alarm for 20.
Up.
Yeah, then the schedule's gone.
Oh,
so
man.
that's the secret.
You should just have one of your like staff or someone throw a bucket of ice water on your face if you're not up in like 25 minutes.
Yeah, I should. I'm gonna start bringing one to the office. I think that's the other trick.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, so you're hiring people that watch this could reach out to you.
Yeah.
What's one tip you would give someone that's struggling or new and they're not sure if they can make it doing this?
I would track your activity and then have somebody review what you're doing. Because sometimes you can fall into a trap of, dude, I was working for 12 straight hours and I was doing it every day this week, but you go back through your activity and you didn't actually get anything done. Like I did no skill set development. I only made 200 phone calls or 150 calls
or
each day.
27.
Yeah, sometimes
I get
it's
that
a lot
sometimes,
less.
dude. Like, no, like some people will call me, they'll be like, I made 27 calls. These leads don't work.
Yeah, which is why it's important to have like find somebody that's significantly more advanced in the business, that's been around for X amount of time. What they're doing well. Go through your activity with that person and just like, hey, I need some honest feedback because I feel like I'm about to go out. I don't know if this is for me. Can you help me? And this is where Wetmore was such a maniac at breaking down the math with you, is because he's like, how many dials did you make? How many leads did you buy? How many people answered? How many did you book? How many did you sit with? How many did you close? And he could go through your entire schedule and basically go, not enough leads, not enough dials, no skill set development this week. You didn't close any more than you did last week. And he could kind of like give me a breakdown and just like punch me in the face with honesty. And he was like, well, we know you suck, but like, here is why, and here's what you're missing, which was so valuable to me at the time. So if you're concerned, I don't know if this is for me, it's not for everybody. And you don't have to try to force something that you're not made for or that you don't truly want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So get some feedback from someone who will be honest with you and break down what you're actually doing day by day, hour by hour. And I think that will kind of tell you a lot.
That's huge. All right, my man, we got to go, but thank you for sharing.
You're
the
dude.
Man. You're an animal.
Thank you for having me.
Tomorrow we got another 3:45 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Factory Fresh is coming.
I'm excited.
And
Thanks
it's
for
gonna be
having
fun.
me in.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for joining us. See you guys.